What causes obesity? Is it genetic? Is it lifestyle? And what about choices? You've probably heard that weight gain occurs when someone ingests more calories than they burn. Well, yeah, but that's certainly not the whole story. I'm Dr. Vicki Petz-Casper. I practiced obstetrics and gynecology for 20 years until I landed on the other side of the sheets as a very sick patient. When my own body betrayed me, I took a handful of pills to manage my disease and another handful to counteract the side effects. My health was out of control. Through surgery, medications, and lots of prayers, I regained my strength only to face another diagnosis. My doctor challenged me to make radical changes through lifestyle medicine. Now I feel great and I want to help you make changes that make a difference. Healthy Looks Great on You podcast takes you to many medical schools so you can learn the power of lifestyle medicine. If you're ready to take control of your health, you're in the right place. Whether you're focused on prevention or you're trying to manage a condition, I'll give you practical steps to start your own journey toward better health, because healthy looks great on you. This is episode 127. What causes me to gain weight? The way your individual body responds to the number of calories you ingest versus the number of calories you burn isn't really understood completely. I mean, we've all known that person who eats junk all day long and is thin as a toothpick. And since I mentioned thin, let me point out, you can be thin and very unhealthy. And you can have a little extra cushion and be relatively healthy. Though energy balance is important, weight gain and obesity are also influenced by endocrine disorders, diseases, medications, socioeconomic factors, and genetics. And I'm going to spend some time talking about genetics, but first, let's look at an easy subject to address: medications. Common contributors to weight gain are some antidepressants and antipsychotics, anti-seizure medications, and sometimes beta blockers. Certain forms of hormonal birth control, like Depo-Provera, can cause weight gain. Some diabetes medications cause weight gain, and a big offender is steroids. Oh, let me just tell you how much I loathe steroids. When I was first diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, they put me on such a high dose of prednisone, I had to be hospitalized. Weight gain on high dose of steroids is pretty much inevitable. I couldn't sleep, and yet because of my disease, I couldn't move, and I was hungry all the time. And as expected, the weight gain occurred in specific locations: my face, under my chin, even on my collarbones, and especially in my belly. But not my legs. They actually shrunk. And as much as I hated the side effects, I needed the medication. And you should take all medication as prescribed and discuss any concerns you have with your doctor. Certain diseases predispose you to gain weight as well. Since I'm sharing my own personal medical history, I also have experience with hypothyroidism. In fact, I can tell when my dose needs some tweaking because my energy level goes down and my appetite goes up. And as a consequence, so does my weight. People with arthritis may have limited mobility, and inactivity results in less calories burned and therefore weight gain. And of course, it's not uncommon for women to gain weight during menopause, around 1.5 pounds a year during your 50s. And again, the distribution is highly influenced by hormones, and it's that unhealthy belly fat again that women hate so much. I discuss weight gain and hormones on Menopause Questions and Answers. If you are not receiving these weekly 1 to 2 minute YouTube videos by email, there's a sign-up link in the show notes, or you can visit my website, www.healthylooksgreatonyou.com. But here's a little sneak peek of information. Taking hormones doesn't prevent weight gain, but it does influence where you gain it. So there's that. Now, let's move around a bit and discuss geography. Yep, geography. Where I live, the proportion of people who are obese is much higher than in urban areas. Most rural areas require that we drive everywhere and walk nowhere. It's simply not feasible to walk places. So we park our butts in the driver's seat, and steering is the most strenuous thing we do. Plus, Southern fried chicken and sweet tea is real, y'all. For society in general, though, we move less. Our work isn't as physically demanding as in years past, and so we struggle to get our steps in. You know, back in the day, we walked to school uphill both ways. But seriously, we rode our bicycles, and we played outside, and our parents were active too. Now, we take the elevator, shop online instead of walking around the mall, do our banking from the recliner, and drive through to pick up dinner. Our society values convenience, so we can change the channel on the TV by speaking and literally not lift a finger. I remember my first remote-controlled VHS player. Now picture this. The controller was actually on a real long cord. So if you decided you wanted to watch a movie, you still had to get up off the couch, go get the thing, and walk back to the couch. Oh my, those days are long gone. Socioeconomic factors are also important. Let's face it, junk food is a lot cheaper than buying fresh fruits and vegetables. And people who don't have disposable income rely on packaged foods with long shelf lives. It's not healthy, but it's a reality for many. On top of that, if someone lives in an unsafe neighborhood, they can't get out and walk. That being said, listen, obesity is no respecter of economic or educational status. There are plenty of rich, brilliant people who struggle with weight. And here's the deal. Unhealthy foods don't satisfy your body's craving for nutrients. So your body starts sending false signals to your brain that say, I'm starving. Well, what are you going to do if you're starving? That's not a trick question. You're going to eat. But it is a tricky thing to think that your body wants you to eat because it needs nutrition, but instead you feed it enriched, bleached flour with multigrain on the label to make you think it's something a little healthier. Slather on a bunch of mayonnaise, which, by the way, contains 10 grams of fat. Then pile on some toxic turkey lunch meat, jam-packed with sodium and fat, and top it off with a slice of high-fat cheese. And voila, you've just eaten 531 calories, 21 grams of fat, 930 milligrams of sodium, and only 6 grams of fiber. And that doesn't count the bag of chips, cookie, and Coke to finish it off. I don't know, maybe you haven't done that, but I certainly have. It's no wonder the body says, feed me, Seymour. It's a little shop of horrors. I really wish I could sing. You probably do too, and hopefully you know what I'm even talking about. But what if you just have slow metabolism? It's obvious that different people have different rates of metabolism, and it's kind of like the flywheel effect. Muscle burns more calories than fat, so the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn even at rest. But now is not the time to rest because it's time to go to mini medical school. Today we're going to learn about the hormone ghrelin. It's a gastrointestinal peptide involved in appetite regulation, and it's affectionately referred to as the hunger hormone. It says, yummy, yummy, yummy in my tummy, tummy, tummy. And your body is designed to live in balance. So to counter hunger, there's another hormone called leptin, and it suppresses hunger. And it's actually manufactured in our adipose tissues. Like we're perfectly designed to live in equilibrium. Other influences are peptide YY, cholecystokinin, and pancreatic polypeptide. When things are unbalanced, weight gain may occur. Metabolic conditions that cause this are things like polycystic ovary syndrome. In this condition, hormones are just all out of whack, and these women are more likely to have obesity. Let's take a closer look at obesity. No, closer. A little more. There. We can actually peek inside the body with functional MRI to look at, get this, not adipose tissue, but brain response. People who have a healthier weight have more activity in the reward center located in the orbital frontal cortex. Where's that? Well, break it down. Orbital means eye socket, and frontal means behind the forehead, and cortex refers to the part of the brain located there. I think it's kind of poetic that the reward center hits you right between the eyes. But wait, there's more. People at a healthy weight have decreased activity in the hypothalamus. Now, hopefully you already passed your test about all that goes on in the hypothalamus. It's a major relay station, and it sends signals to your body in response to what you see with your eyes. Remember the song, "Oh, Be Careful, Little Eyes, What You See"? Well, the hypothalamus tells your body it's hungry when it sees appetizing food. What? Seriously. We are so incredibly designed. Energy storage is regulated by these chemical signals that come from the gut, fat cells, and endocrine tissues. The liver and parts of the brain, like the hypothalamus, as well as the amygdala, tell the body whether or not you need more or less calories. Now, you might remember that the amygdala is where fear is processed. And believe it or not, fear, especially in early childhood, contributes to obesity. People with trauma in their past are more likely to have metabolic disruptions, which contribute to a tendency toward obesity. It's well known that emotions and mental health play a role in the propensity toward obesity. Some people eat when they're bored. This is one reason social connectedness is so important in healthy weight management. Others eat when they're stressed. All that cortisol dumped into your system from chronic stress affects weight. And of course, sleep is super important. People who don't get enough sleep have derangements in several hormones, which increases the risk of obesity. It turns out that all 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine are critical: food, physical activity, sleep, stress management, social connectedness, minimizing harmful substances, which includes not only empty calories from alcohol, but also fast food, ultra-processed foods, and sugar-sweetened beverages, or as we say in the South, Coke. Obesity is a result of consumption of more calories than you burn. That's such an oversimplification. But excess calories are stored as fat. That's just a fact. A calorie-dense diet that is nutrient-poor leads to overeating, and it is a vicious cycle. As we continue to look at what drives people to consume more calories than they burn, it's time to open up your genetics textbook. Even though metabolic and hormonal influences alter your risk for obesity, genetics play a role too. Our genetic makeup determines how tall we will be, what color our eyes are, and what diseases we are more prone to get. One of those medical conditions is obesity. Most experts don't think there is a single gene that causes obesity. Instead, there are likely many different genes that are passed down from your parents that can get turned on and cause extra fat stores. While some genetic expressions are fixed, like your blood type, others interplay with environmental factors that determine how they are expressed. For example, alcoholism tends to be hereditary. Think about it. If you have the gene for alcoholism, does that mean you'll become an alcoholic? Well, if you drink alcohol, it's far more likely you'll have a problem. But if you never drink alcohol, then of course you won't. Even if we look at the breast cancer gene mutations, not everyone who has the gene gets breast cancer. So there's always some interplay between the environment and the regulation of the genetic code. Some studies indicate that obesity genes can even be turned on by fried foods. But, and this may surprise you, but according to Harvard University, genetic factors make a small contribution to the risk of obesity. I would say sorry, but actually that's great news. Here's a quote from Harvard. Genes are not our destiny. Many people who carry obesity genes do not become overweight, and healthy lifestyles can counteract these genetic effects. Now, I'll give it to you that healthy lifestyle is hard. It's hard for some individuals who have addiction to sugar. Dopamine levels are involved, and it's just hard because of the way our society is wired. But let's look at recent upward trends of obesity. You know, our genes really haven't changed enough to explain that. So, what has changed? Our food, which is a subject for another day, but also our activity level and our social eating patterns. Since the 1970s, the average caloric intake has increased by 500 kilocalories per day, tracking right along with the increase in obesity. The standard American diet contains more fat, more sugar, more protein, more grains, and less fruits and vegetables. We've replaced nutrient-packed foods with fast, convenient food and sweetened drinks. If I need to spell it out, we get up in the morning, eat some yogurt with granola, both with added sugar, then hop in our car and drive to work, grab a Starbucks caramel macchiato on the way, sit at our desk all day, drink a Coke, eat potluck, complete with cake because it was a coworker's birthday last week. We don't have time to cook or go to the grocery store when we get off, so we go out to eat. By the time we get there, we're starving. So we order appetizers, which contain enough calories to sustain us for a week. Then we eat bread while we wait for our entree, which is the size of 4 dinner plates. We get home, plop down on the couch, and watch our favorite TV series. And this one is particularly bad. There's a big study called the Nurses' Health Study. And for every 2 hours, women in this study watched TV, the risk of obesity was increased by 25%. Now, do the math. If you watch 4 hours of TV a day, your chances of being obese are increased by 50%. Part of it might be the combination of decreased activity and whatever you're snacking on, but sitting at work doesn't seem to correlate with this dramatic of a result. And speaking of drama, here's a little suggestion. Next time you're watching that series that sucks you in, commit to moving. For example, if you're a fan of Blue Bloods, then make a deal with yourself that you can only watch the show if you're on a stationary bicycle, or maybe you have to march during every commercial. Let's keep going with a typical week, though. The next day, we need gas in our car, and there just happens to be plentiful choices of snacks at the checkout. Heck, there are even snacks staring you in the face when you check out at the grocery store or the pharmacy. Is there a genetic component? Yeah, but you can override it with a healthy diet and physical fitness. I said what I said, and I can give you the data to back it up. Genetic research is fascinating, though, and to be honest, the drug companies love it. If they convince you that your medical condition is set in stone because you inherited it, then you're less empowered to exercise other options besides medications. Now, hang on just a minute. If you listened to my podcast last week, you know I am completely supportive of the benefits of weight loss surgery and medications. But if I'm honest, I need to tell you that most people have some genes somewhere in their family tree that can promote obesity under the right circumstances. And what I mean by circumstances are diet and other lifestyle factors. Here's what I'm trying to say. You aren't held hostage by a genetic tendency, though it very well may be a significant contributing factor. Seems paradoxical, doesn't it? But here's the bottom line. Metabolism, eating behaviors, and the body's complex response to ingesting calories is influenced by genetics. Obviously, the science isn't precise yet, but weight is heavily influenced by consuming ultra-processed foods. And you want to know what else families contribute besides genes? Early habits and taste. I mean, maybe obesity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and diabetes run in your family, and maybe so do fried foods, ice cream, and macaroni and cheese, which, by the way, my husband says is his favorite vegetable. And listen, it's so hard to break patterns that are ingrained from a young age. If one of your parents is obese, your risk of becoming obese jumps up 3 to 4-fold. And if both of your parents are obese, it's 10-fold. But healthy weight matters, and it's not an issue of body image, it's a matter of life and death. In fact, obesity is one of the leading preventable causes of death. It puts you at risk for heart disease, diabetes, fatty liver, high blood pressure, and sleep apnea, which can lead to stroke and even certain types of cancer. Not to mention the pain in your knees and hips from carrying the extra load. Reflux and other digestive problems can be a consequence of what we eat, both quality and quantity. An unhealthy weight can influence your quality of life. People who carry extra pounds have more trouble playing with their kids or grandkids, or participating in active social activities like hiking, biking, swimming, or skiing. Weight discrimination is a real thing too. People may feel stigmatized and self-conscious. It's not uncommon for obese people to deal with shame and guilt on top of depression and disability, which can lead to further social isolation, and none of that is good for your health. In fact, a supportive network of people in your life can help you maintain a healthy weight. Unless, of course, they encourage you to have another piece of cherry pie. Okay, let me stop right here. People quit peer pressuring those you love to eat unhealthy food. Just stop. It's already a struggle, and that doesn't help. But the struggle is not about willpower. It's about this interplay between the environment, brain programming, genetics, and altered metabolism. And if our generation was bad, the one coming behind us is worse. 20% of kids are obese. Turns out the deck can be stacked against you before you're even born. Babies growing in the womb are vulnerable to what mom is eating. So if she has an unhealthy diet filled with fat, sugar, and ultra-processed foods, that influences the baby. And that doesn't really seem fair. Maternal obesity or undernutrition actually causes parts of the baby's brain to change. We call this epigenetics. Ultimately, this results in an increased appetite and fat deposition in the children, making weight a struggle from the get-go. Another fascinating area of research is the gut microbiome. We'll have to cover that later, along with a related topic, fiber. Now, are you ready for some good news? You can counteract most risk factors through diet and exercise. I know it's not that simple, but people who are able to lose weight through diet, exercise, behavior therapy, medication, surgery can lower their risk for everything. But, and this is important, you will never reach a place where you can slack up and eat whatever you want and not gain weight. It's not going to happen. So here are some practical tips. Replace your couch time with something you enjoy that's a little active. Get up and march or dance or do squats. And eat more fiber. It fills you up, keeps your gut healthy, and suppresses your appetite. Eliminate ultra-processed foods from your diet as much as possible. They're loaded with fat and sugar to bring you back for more. Lastly, eat at home. Portions at restaurants are out of control, and healthy choices are harder to make. There are lots of different opinions about which diet is best, and soon I'll do a review on the different ones and their effectiveness. But for now, I hope you understand the causes of weight gain. If you're interested in recipes, grocery lists, meal planning, you'll want to visit my website and make sure you're signed up for my email list so you'll be the first to know when new resources are available. You'll get a sneak peek and you'll be the one who is in the know. Because lifestyle measures can help, but usually people can't do it on their own. I am so happy for those of you who have had success with surgery, medication, and lifestyle changes. Don't forget to feed your body delicious, nutritious, healthy food because healthy looks great on you. The information contained in this podcast is for educational purposes only, not